Hi, I'm Carl Anderson of Kugae Gundogs. This week we're going to talk about dogging in and the importance of it and how you can get into it. Now some people out there will say, well, I already go every morning dogging in and help keepers out, but some people haven't, so it's just like an introduction into it, and we'll put a little bit of video together of these 4 dogs working, and we work both Spaniels and Labradors at the same time. We get the best out of them. Now in an ideal world for dogging in, you need these dogs need to be high drive dogs. But when I say high drive, I don't mean dogs what's going to run off anywhere. You need to be able to control them, and if you've got the control on them and you can send them in a hedge and they can walk the birds along, because the idea is to walk the birds back to where we want. And you basically release birds in a pen, and for the first few days you keep them in the pen, and then they come out and they need a bigger area and a bigger area and a bigger area. But you have to keep them in the confines of your boundaries. So now what we do with the dogs each morning, we're at the maximum fill of the boundary, so we work the dogs around the boundary, and again on an evening, not too late afternoon, we push them back and we're vigilant. But at no stage do I want the birds flying back unless they're in a real serious area, and I push them back. And then when I do, I need to see them going back towards home, and home is where we've released them and where the food is and where the water is and where they're safe. So the last thing we would keep doing is going inside home and disturbing them, because it would affect it too much. The keeper can go in there and he can whistle the birds and feed the birds and one thing and another, but you don't want anyone else in there disturbing them. It's got to be a quiet area. So whether you've got one dog or multiple dogs, they've all got to really work as one. And there's keepers out there up and down the country, and they will want you to work your dogs. So let this go over. Right, that's a bit better. Another one having a go. Now what we did, we're going to leave that in because we had a few partridges going over the boundary out the way of the Spaniels, so we thought we'd get the RAF in to bring them back. But you can see what you're up against, and the dogs, we'll leave that in because the dogs just didn't react, they just wanted to be with us. But getting back to where we was, so your gamekeeper, all gamekeepers like people with good, well-trained dogs to help them dog in. They've got a big enough job this time of year. The pressures of shoot days getting on, they need the birds in areas. And if you've got good dogs, a gamekeeper will generally welcome you. But he needs to, what are you looking at over there, Mr. Wolf? He needs to have trust in you, and that you can do it. And once you build up trust, he'll give you more responsibilities. And it's a privilege to work with keepers up and down the country in all different environments, but he'll want to see that your dogs aren't going to chase his birds. The last thing he wants is these birds under pressure and not being where he wants them on shoot day. You know, he's soon going to clear you off if you do that. So you've trained your dogs all summer, you've got an opportunity to work with a keeper. Get out there, enjoy them, get the drive in your dogs, and this is what they're bred for. True working dogs, this is what they're bred for. And if people at home, you've got your pet dogs, don't let them go around the countryside and let them chase everything, but you'll see how controlled these dogs are, and you'll understand if you work with them and it's all about fun, they'll work with you and you can have some great fun.
Kugae. So what we've done, we've disturbed a few birds down here and he's hunting away from them. Kugae. And we're just going to push them down this green lens back to where we want them. And as always, we don't want to push them hard, we don't want them flying, we just want to push the birds exactly where we want. So let's go. You can see they're just up there in front and they'll be all the way along the green line. So we're going to try and work on either side. Wolf. Okay. So we're kind of pushing the green round now. So that's it. My Kugae wants to work like hell now. Kugae. And again, we want to try and put Wolf inside. Wolf. Wolf. And the minute I double glees him, he turns. And that's what we want. I don't particularly want him to go from side to side here now. I want that little dog to turn. And he'll wait for the next instruction. Now Kugae's going down there because he knows them birds are there. Again, I've recalled him, I brought him back. Don't want them birds to fly in no circumstances. And you can see, the minute they know there's birds there, they go up a gear. And you can see, the dogs are looking, they know the birds are there, and they know this job inside out. Again, he's running towards them, and he's turned there. But what I don't want to do is them birds to fly and scatter all over and be nervous. I want in the area. I want them nice and slow. And I'm not nagging the dogs. I'm not chasing them. I'm not screaming at them. I'm not shouting at them. Come here. Yeah. Wolf. Wolf. Now I'm going to put Wolf in. Kugae's getting a little bit excited. I just want to save it. We've got further up here. Wolf. We're not just flushing the odd pheasant here, we're flushing, or we're seeing massive volumes of pheasants. And that's what's exciting the dogs. If you let your dog Miranda down a hedge like this, and it comes across one pheasant, it's going to run off. If it comes across quite a few pheasants, and you've got the ability, and you've put in your foundations, you can control that dog and call it off them. But you've got to be 100% on that dog all the time. If you're not, the wheels are going to come off, and we don't have to explain what's going to go on. It's just going to be a big mess. So you've probably seen by now, I don't really talk to the dogs. I don't give them a lot of command. I can't click them off like this because the spaniels are used to be clicked off or both go off together. So I have to say it by name. So I'm changing the way we work them a little bit. And you can see that they're just talking. Kugae this morning, he loves this. He's on live game now. If you put him in with dummies, he gets a bit bored. But he gets on live game and he absolutely loves it. So we're going to pick up back here, about here, and really want the Labradors in now. James. And we just want them to in because they're going to be that little bit more steadier. He'll go in a bit deeper. And all I really want him to do is rattle them bushes and push the birds forward or over to the right hand side. Now I work it up with James. He's worked many seasons and he knows this inside out, so I can give him that little bit more freedom. But if he was a younger dog, when we bring the younger dogs out later on, we would keep them very tight, send them in and bring them out. There's James now, look. And again, I haven't got to recall him. He knows this enough. He can go in and come out. James. And if you've got spaniels and Labradors, ideally you want to work them together, work them as one, to the advantage you need. Now it's just the I can hear him all the time. I'm listening for them. I'm listening to what goes on. Now I've got to be careful. There's a main road in front. It's not a main road, it's a country lane, but it still has vehicles on it, and we have to act. Now I can hear now there's a pheasant got up, so I'm expecting now James to come back very shortly, or I'm going to have to recall him. Yeah, he is. Now he's come back on his own accord, so I now know right the way up to near that grey gate is. James, come here. We can now pick it up from there. So I'd walk his heel. I've got to conserve the energy in these dogs because they're doing so much. And this is only the start of their day. So we're just going to push this bit of sugar beet through, and just to the other side of that ash tree, and then we can move on again. And we've kind of settled the birds at this part this morning, and they've gone back to where we want. But I don't want loads and loads of dogs mantling through there at the minute. And you can hear we're right next to a road, so we have to be really, really careful and make sure the dogs can sit really, really solid. Lorry coming by, so it's not a busy road, but we have to be mindful anytime we come near a road. Sit. Right, so I'm just going to take one down here, Kugae. Kugae. What we've done, we just took Kugae up there and we've worked him up to the ash tree, and we'll just gently push some birds back. But when we're working multiples of dogs and we've got dogs sat here, we've got to be very careful what we do with the whistle. We can't do a recall because the other dogs will come out. We can't say heel. So all we can really do is say his name and point to the direction we want him to go. And he should know his job well enough just to dance in that sugar beet. At this stage, I don't want him to get his head down, I don't want him to flush. I just want the noise rattling through that sugar beet to push the birds back to where we want. So it's really important, if you've got a team of dogs out and they run in, just go back and think, what did I say? Did I say something what could have made them come towards me? Because that's all they're doing. They're listening to every word you say. It's like now, they're listening. And I've only got to say one word and they'll jump into action. Let's move on. Heel. So we've kind of just moved on now, and we're going to go in this gateway here. There's some birds, and what we don't want the birds to do is make this road. And when you're working a dog alongside the road, you've got to be careful. We shouldn't really have them off the leads on roads, but these are highly trained. We can stop these at any second. But if there was a lot of traffic about, we wouldn't be on the road. So you've got to take that into consideration. Right, so let's go in this gateway, and I can already see the birds going where I want them to go at this stage. Now I haven't really got to say heel to these birds because these dogs come in touch. But look round every corner and see. Well, we can see the birds on the stubble. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. All we're going to do is push them lightly back. They're over there at a cover. So they're telling me now that the pheasants are coming up this way this morning. And all they're doing is they're following them up, and they want to be in a warm place, and we're pushing them down. Now, in this corner there's more pheasants, and if you see one, there'll be 10, I promise you. Yeah, so let's just keep going. And again, all we're doing, we're walking the dogs very, very close. And the dogs will tell me when there's a bird in that head. I haven't got a hammer of these heads with. Now, these birds now are going into this corner. So I've got to watch these really, really careful. And in a second, I'm going to have to nip over the bike and push this figure back in this really, really heavy cover. Really heavy cover. And even the hardest spaniel is going to struggle in this thing. Yeah. Right, now I'm trapping them birds in that corner, so that's the last thing I want to do. So we're going to go out, and we're going to have to go down the roadside. Okay. Now, notice I jumped across the dike and the dogs come behind me. Now I've got to hold the GoPro because this is Laura jumping across the dike. So she's been all quiet there, but we've got to get this on video. And if she falls in, I will help her out. But there's all these excuses. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. So that's Laura this morning. Right, so we've got to walk down the side. Now I don't know if the GoPro can pick it up, but right down there, there's plenty of birds in front. So we've kind of walked them out of this heavy cover. We've walked them down that way. Now, there's a little bit of cover the other side of these trees. And we're just going to walk the birds to there. And that's all it is. It's not a cover we shoot. It's not a cover we need. But I don't want to disturb it all the same. So here we go. I don't need to push that because I've pushed it on the other side. And it's extremely heavy. Even Wolf's going to go in there. And if I start pushing dogs in that really heavy bracken, I'm going to have ripped ears, cuts, and injured dogs. And I don't want that. I'll never let that happen. So I'm going to go and look in a minute. So there's one gone back. So we now know there's some more birds in here. And that's what the dog should do. When a bird gets up like that, they should ignore it. They should either sit or stand and look at us. That's what I want out of my dogs. It might not be for the field trialling world, but I need that control for the jobs we do. I've got myself so excited now because there's large volumes of game, but the more excited they are now, we need to calm them down. Now, these dogs have been out for a few hours. They've done plenty of miles. Sit. They've done plenty of miles, and they're still as keen as what there was when they first come out. That's called drive. But we need the drive, but we have to be able to control it. To let a dog run down here wildly, we'll have pheasants all over the place, and it's just not really what happened. So we're just going to walk slowly down, and when we're going to get back up to where we was, and then we're going to start working the Labradors a bit more gentler than the Spaniels. James. Now we're using the Labradors now. It's a big thick hedge and it probably goes back about 15 metres. So I want the Labradors to go through. I don't want the Spaniels charging now because we're getting near to where I want the birds to settle. So I've got to be very, very sensible what I do. In the morning, first off, I might push the Spaniels through. But just now, the birds have had the feed, they've had the wander, and I want them back nice and calmly. Edward. Edward. And watching them through the ivy there. He's working perfect. Exactly what I want him to do. And then what he does, he gets to about 10 to 15 yards in front. Now Wolf's gone and he shouldn't have done. Wolf! That's it. Now all I've done is I've brought Wolf back, and what he's saying is, hang on a minute, I want my turn. Well, he's not having a turn. We're working the Labradors now. James. Come here. Kugae. That's it. So there's James. He's just working that head really nice. You can see it's got a big dry dike in there. And this is what we wanted. If you look up in front, then birds now are going down the road, and they were going down the road in the sugar beet field and in that clover field and down this hedge. So they're doing exactly what we want them to do, and the dogs are doing a fabulous job. That's it. Go on. Now, here it gets really, really heavy, and I'm going to struggle to get James through that or any of them. So this is where this man comes in. Wolf. And he's just forcing himself through that really thick ivy. And it's only 5 yards or so I want him, but I want that noise. James, from here. Come on. Now we're back to where we're starting and we're pushing the birds. Now they're going to rest up on this hedge side now. So we've done as much as I want to do here. I've got one more little thing to do. Just going to go back a little bit. I'm going to bring a little bit of sugar beet up, and then we're going to move on and probably call it a morning now. But we have one last drive around, and this is the time. I always do this now. We go just before we get around that last bend. I ring Karen and say breakfast is on. What happens is, a minute later, the phone rings, Karen's phone rings, and she says, I'll take breakfast off because the little monkeys are where they shouldn't be, and we're out another hour. And when you're doing this, and the gamekeeper said to you, can you dog in for him? Commit to him. And you know, if you can only commit to him between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock, do it on a weekend if you work, or do it the days you can do it. Because you can't ring the keeper up and say, well, you've got a load of pheasants in so-and-so, but I've got to go to work, because he won't ask you to come again. So you've got to work with the keepers and do them a good job. And the more you work with them and the better job you do them, the more they'll trust you. And you'll kind of I'm not saying you'll have an open invitation, you have to let him know when you're coming, but he'll give you a lot more and a lot more. We have a few people come out and they'll tell me they're coming out, and I say where they're going, and they do a great job. And you know, they can train their dog in this environment, and you know, it's priceless. It really is priceless to have access to this. So that's an insight to what we do. We kind of took the dogs out and we've put the birds back to where we want, and we've had very few flying birds. We do this every morning, and you've got to get your dogs to a good standard to be able to do this. But even if your dog's pushing on a little bit, the experience with older dogs and being on the lead, is essential. But you've got to have some good clothing, because you're going to be walking through briars. It's no good going out in your shorts and your plimsolls. You've got to have suitable footwear and clothing what's going to last. It's going to get torn to bits. But the important bit about going out dogging in the morning is work with the keeper. If you've got a relationship with a gamekeeper and he's going to allow you to help him dog in, it's worth its weight, because that keeper, it's his year's work put on there, and the last thing he wants is them birds pushing out of his chute or disturbing. And we've had it in the past where we've let people come in, and before you know it, they're around the pens, and you're pushing the birds out. What we need to do is, if you imagine a saucer, a plate, and the beans are spilling off, we make the plate bigger, but we try and keep it in that contained area. And what happens is, one morning you decide enough's enough. We just have to keep our eye on things, and we don't have to push the birds back, because they know where the food is, they know where the water is. The keeper's really happy, you've done a real good job, and he'll then let you do other things. And there's a lot goes on about keepers, like people with multiple dogs that don't. A keeper doesn't really matter if someone's got one dog or 10 dogs. He wants someone well behaved, keeps him informed, and rings him up and says, right, okay, we're in this situation and there's loads of birds in this area, but the hedge cutting. And that keeper will then make a decision whether he pushes the birds back to that hedge cutter or he lets them go anywhere else. There's no point in my world of pushing the birds back into ploughing or hedge cutting or any other noise, chainsawing. They'll not want to stay there, they'll want to push out. So we have to make a decision. We have to go out and have a look and make a decision. But more important, that's the gamekeeper's decision, not someone who's helping him out. So if you want to come out and enjoy your dogs and work in this environment, and this is a privilege in life, it's not an expectancy, and you are privileged enough to work with gamekeepers, keep them in step every step of the way. Do what they ask. It's as simple as that. They're asking you for a reason. Do what you ask, and you can go out and enjoy your dogs. Now I hope you've enjoyed this. We'll do some more on this level. We'll bring the girls out next time, which is a younger team, so we'll bring the girls out, and we'll still see more of the antics of these. Thanks for watching.